Guys, welcome back to the Physique Factory Podcast, and today we've got special guest Lee, just coming off the back of an overall win at PCA Manchester. So Lee, how's prep gone the last few months? And you've won quite a lot of things this year.
Yeah, I mean, all I've been saying to everyone when everyone asks, "Oh, how's prep? How's it going?" Honestly, this is my fourth prep that I've ever done. First prep with Josh. It's just been, I don't want to say easy because it's not. We all know how hard prep is, but it's been my easiest prep so far. It's run really smoothly. Steps were the lowest they've ever been. Cardio is the lowest it's ever been. I had additional rest. Previous coaches always had me on 6 days training split. We stayed on 5, kept sweeteners in, kept sauces in, kept seasoning in, kept foods I enjoyed in, and it just made the world of difference. So in regard to a prep, it was the perfect one. It really was.
Sweet. It's working with the right person as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, stars aligned on that one. I've been wanting to sort of work with Josh for a while, but it was just kind of when the right time was for me to want to start a prep. So yeah, got in contact, and I've been up to see him a few times in Stockport as well. So it was important for me to have a coach that I could go and see, because previously my coach wasn't in the country, and I just feel like having a coach at the show and being able to see a coach in person before you get on stage is really important. Because I'd be like, previous coaches, I'd be like grabbing my fat and trying to send pictures saying like, look, I look sick in these fasted shots. I look really flat, but actually you can't see this. So yeah, just to go and see someone who can actually visually look at that in the flesh is, I'll suggest to anyone to get a coach that they can see in person.
Yeah, it is valuable, that definitely. It was I go down I see him probably every month down at Elite, because it's only around the corner for me. It's only Manchester. It's not too bad. So it is worth doing that, because you can actually see it in person. The pictures, they can't do things like justice sometimes. But yeah, it's massive, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's interesting what you said about about prepping with Josh and how it's different. Tell us a little bit about previous preps. So what have you done on them? Because you obviously mentioned this time you're keeping in sweeteners and things like that, which obviously suggests before you weren't even allowed to have a can of Pepsi Max or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I can sort of tell you sort of late into preps, and you just get into those. It's kind of like a cookie cutter, I think, for a lot of people that I know, and coaches with protocols that they use. It's like, okay, we're 2 weeks out now, no sweeteners. So you're used to all this food, and it's a little bit of flavour you'll have it, and then you whip it out, and it's like mentally it's quite tough, I feel, because you're used to this and you're having something you enjoy, and then they just whip it out, and then it's like, well, now you're going to have fish and veg for the last meal because fish dries you out. Okay, so yeah, so going from maybe oats, cream of rice, having some fruit in there, it just goes to meat, vegetables, maybe some rice cakes, and yeah, that's what I've had with previous coaches. They really go for this is hardcore bodybuilding, everything,
wasn't it?
Yeah, so you get to those last few weeks, and it's just hell. No squash, no sweetener in your coffee. Those little bits of joy you get from prep that can keep you going. And I've never known, does it make a difference? Does it not? Because I've always followed that. But obviously, speaking to Josh and asking him those questions, he's like, no, you can keep them in. Actually, I've bought this look that I've never bought previously. So in my head, I'm fine to keep those in if I'm going to bring a better look than I did last time. Then
I think it's the stress thing, isn't it? Like going from one extreme to the other and taking them out completely, and it just shows it's worked anyway, or it doesn't have that big of an impact, or maybe it's even improved your physique. So it just it's just one of those things, isn't it? Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, from a mental standpoint, I'm much happier within the day. I'm not miserable. I'm not going to training like, oh, I've just had some broccoli and 2 rice cakes and a bit of chicken. It's my pre-workout meal. Actually, I've had whey, cream of rice, dark chocolate, and berries. I'm looking forward to this meal. Oh, I like this. I'm buzzing for training now. I can have a pre-pump formula because, previously it's got sweetener in. Let's take it out. It makes a world of difference. Might seem very minute, but
for some people, I suppose, like these things might cause digestive discomfort, and like fair enough for them. But like, yeah, just to blatantly cut it out for absolutely everyone, as you say, suck the joy out of the little
Yeah,
things that do give you the joy at that stage. Like, yeah, but personally, I've never had to do that, and it's like I wouldn't see it making any difference, to be fair. But yeah, you never know. Again, it comes down to the individual as such. But yeah, you need those little things, I think, especially as it gets closer to the end, because it is fucking tough. Like, at the last 2 weeks of my prep, I was like, fuck this, I'm never doing this again. I fucking hate bodybuilding and all that. And, like, to be fair, like I meant every word of it, but at the same time, like I find everything until that last kind of couple of weeks was pretty smooth, and then all of a sudden it's like shit. But that must be times by 100 when it's like you can't even have a fucking Pepsi Max.
well, I think everyone gets that in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
do as well. You're questioning why you're doing it because it is so tough, and it's obviously physically draining. Mentally, it has a big impact on you, and maybe your life, work, relationships, and things like that. And you're like, oh, why am I doing it? And then you get on stage and like, that's why I did it.
That's it. That's why I'm going to carry on for another month.
Yeah, you're mental.
Yeah. It's sort of signed up to the. I'm doing both the finals now because it works out well because I'm doing classic and PCA on the Sunday, and then because there was both on the same weekend, which is a bit of a cunt move, but yeah. So classic PCA Sunday, and then men's physique two bros in Manchester on the Saturday, which is cost a fucking arm and a leg to
You
enter.
said that a weird way around. Like, why did you say the Sunday one first and then the Saturday?
Because classic is the main thing that I'm going for now. That was it because I've done well in that. So yeah, that's that. But I don't know. I'll see what kind of look I bring to like men's physique because I'm a lot leaner now around the midsection than I was like a couple of weeks ago. So I'll see like what I look like and hopefully do something.
Yeah,
definitely. Just to come in leaner.
That's it. It's, especially men's physique, it's all abs as well. So
now
definitely
everyone's
like,
afraid to talk because we're talking over each other.
Yeah.
People like.
See, when you do it with two people, it's not too bad, but when you do it with three, it's like so easy to talk over each other. But
We do it all the time.
yeah, I do it to you, James. I just don't let you talk.
I keep going.
Right, I'll let you guys talk then. I'll just be a fly in the wall.
Yeah, so I think another funny thing was, when we was like competing, I think every show that we went to this year so far, you go backstage and you open the door and it's just a cloud of fucking smoke from all the vapes.
Do you know what? I'm glad I met James because I was like, and another guy, a guy called Leo, actually, like, never, don't smoke, don't vape or anything like that. But actually, I just started vaping during prep. I don't even know why I thought about it. I think I just saw some vapes in the shop when I was going there and I was like, oh, maybe it'd keep me busy. And I think everyone probably had the same thought because, like James said, you go backstage and it's just like everyone's like in the pump up room just vaping.
It's fucking mad, absolutely mad. It's like when I was like walking towards the town hall at the weekend, and all the bodybuilders sat outside, literally just vaping and vaping. And I was like, fucking hell! Well, at least I'm not the only one then. So
Yeah, no, I think it's the vast majority. But like for me, like it was like it was a little bit of taste. It was keeping me busy, mind occupied a little bit, and because I know you, James, you voice noted me or messaged me about it, didn't you? And he's like asking me about like, do you think it's something you carry on, or is it like a? But I can confirm now. I'm eating a little bit more food. It's pretty much just now and again when it's there. I leave it there. I see it. Yeah.
I'm a bit like that with. I'm a bit like that with monsters. Like I wouldn't drink a monster that much off prep, but when I'm on prep, it's like it seems like the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, it gets with the vapes as well. I thought I just caught myself just keep doing it, and like these like 4,000 like 4,500 ones, I'm going through like one every 2 days. I'm like fucking hell. I was like, what? I don't know what a good like. It's costing money as well. That's the thing. So it's like £10. So I'm like, fucking hell. I was like, I need to really rein this shit in. And I don't know what it's doing to the insides. My fucking mouth feels fucking dry. My throat feels dry from doing it. I was like, is there any long-term fucking, there's going to be some sort of fucking shit from it, especially the nicotine as well.
Yeah.
And then you search it and I'm like, oh, it's like smoking fucking 40 cigs. I'm like, it can't be the same. It's just fucking vapor and nicotine. It's not tar, is it? So I keep trying to justify it to myself. I'm like, I can't stop.
Yeah. I think as soon as you stop dieting, I think you'll be able to just like put it to bed, really. I think because your mind's occupied and you're not in the ground and you're not tired anymore, and you're a lot busy doing other things as well, like socially, and
Yeah.
you're finding joys in life again.
Well, so Lee, you've come off your prep, haven't you?
Yes, finished. Yeah.
So what was the kind of protocol for you coming off prep then? Do you just kind of go straight in balls deep into an off season, or do you kind of reverse diet out? How do you do that?
I think what Josh has done typically, so lowest calories we got down to for the last show was about 1,800. We thought we had discussions about doing the British. So when we came off Manchester, he put it up to about 2,000 just to see where we were going with things. Then the decision was made not to carry on. So then he's bumped up to just over 2,800 now. So we're sitting there until we're ready to sort of push up. Because what happened, obviously, I've come off the back of prep and I've enjoyed time with friends, family, and that involves quite a lot of food. So obviously the weight shot up. Carrying a little bit of water, I've got a little bit of moon face going on. So yeah, so I was back to work today full time. So the structure and routine of things, we're just sort of getting back to normal. So as soon as that's gone, we'll reassess and go from there, really. Checking in tomorrow. So checking in 2 times a week just to make sure things are kept under wraps and not going full twat mode with the food. But, you know, it's the best sort of, I don't know, reverse or whatever you like to call it, I've had post-prep. Because usually I'll just spend weeks and weeks just slamming the food in. But yeah, I think that's because I've never really had much of a goal coming off the back of a prep before. But I know next year I want to go again, so we need to keep it quite tight.
It gets a lot in like every day, doesn't it?
What's that, James?
Done it again.
It gets a lot checking in like every day, especially like in that like the peak week and when you like the last couple of days when you're refeeding, carbing up, where you're checking in like 4 times a day, 5 times a day even, and you're like, fucking hell, the phone's literally just full of pictures and videos of just fucking checking. And like, I know it's got to be done, it's one of those things, but it's like, fucking hell, it's effort. And it was like, all right, meal 3 check-in, meal 4 check-in. I was like, fuck.
And your legs are tired up. It's like getting dressed and then getting undressed again, getting dressed, getting undressed, going outside in the morning when it's freezing cold to get natural light. And even when you're at the shows and stuff, you're having to like get into your board shorts in front of your car and just like get some pictures. And it's some of those shows have been freezing as well. I'll be sitting on my car like, I should have checked in 10 minutes ago, but it's fucking raining outside and got to strip down in the town and get some pictures done for Josh. So
yeah, it's good that he's doing that though. He's actually checking in and he's actually doing what he needs to do, because it would be worse if it was the other way around. Your coach is just like, oh yeah, you're competing this weekend. Good luck.
Yeah. No, he's very like intricate and detailed with that side of things. Can't fault him at all. But yeah, not naming any names because I'm not going to do that. But I was at a show. I'm not even going to name the show because people might be able to work out. But my coach wasn't there, but I checked in and he fell asleep. So I didn't get a reply before I was meant to go on stage.
It's just that mentality, isn't it? Of like, you know, people take more pride than others. That's the way to kind of put it. I would say, like, you've got to know if you're a coach, and especially if you're a coach that's coaching competing athletes, like you need to be on the fucking ball. And you're like, we talked to Josh last week or on the last podcast about the fact that you know, for him, like for the competitive season, it was full on. Like he'd get a bit more time at the weekends and that when it's like kind of off season sort of thing. But that's, you know, if you want to be a prep coach, that's what you have to do. You have to be willing to do that, willing to sacrifice your weekends.
That's it.
Especially when he's in prep himself, isn't it? And then obviously he's just recently had a young boy, and obviously he's got his relationship. And he's got lots of clients competing, like, you know, going abroad and things like that. So obviously his time is precious. But he's honestly, I'll send a check-in to him, and he obviously is very aware of what times people are checking in and who's got checking in. He gets back to you so quickly. And and the change, what I like about Josh, like the manipulations he makes, I think this obviously comparing this to like previous coaches, but the manipulations he makes to my diet, especially when we did the back-to-back shows, James, you did them as well, didn't you? On the Saturday to the Sunday, were just so intricate with even with the salts and the carb manipulations and the fat manipulations to be able to peak at my best I've ever looked on a Saturday, run into the Sunday and look even better. In my head was just fucking, he's like a wizard.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, and because he's at the show, he's like, come and see me, come and see me. He's taking pictures, videos. He'll analyze them with you. He'll like manipulate and tweak you. Like, maybe we should pose like this. Maybe we should do this. It just, yeah, great experience. Like, great coach, and like I said, to work with him for such a short space of time, and to bring about a physique that is my best look and come out of the placements I did this year. I've got people ask me about him. It probably sounds like I love him, but it's honestly,
you should love your coach.
Yeah. I've never met someone who's more on it than him, though. He's just like, he's so on the money, because you hear about people checking in with the coaches and they don't get any checking back, like the feedback, for about 3-4 days. And I'm like, how the fuck do you do that?
You don't pay for a shitty service like that, do you?
It might be like 300 quid, which is like fucking like twice the price to Josh as well. So it's for what he charges and what he like his service he offers, it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I think you've got to, especially as I say, as a bodybuilding prep coach, you've got to be on the fucking ball, because people can't wait for shit like that. But at the end of the day, like, you know, neither should like your general pop clients either. Like, they shouldn't be waiting for a check-in either. But like, yeah, especially with bodybuilding stuff, especially roundabout shows and that, you just can't be waiting for that, can you?
Yeah, it's like I said with like the guy that fell asleep. It's like, this is, you know, I think it was my third season ever competing, so I was a little bit used to what I needed. But it's like, I need to know what you want me to do, what meals to have, what you want me to have, because obviously Josh has his sort of free pump. He tells you what timing to have what, which is, I guess, quite normal. But I didn't get that from him, and I was like, I didn't know what meal to have, and I ended up just like having what I thought. And at the show, I was with my friend, and another guy was like, "Yeah, I had some cookie dealer cookies, right, for like afterwards." And he was like, "Yeah, you're quite flat. Just fucking have one of those." And I just smashed it, and they're like, what, 1,000 calories? The amount of sugars and carbs in that is probably mental. And I think I gathered that alongside like a pre-pump and probably some like sweets or something. Honestly, I spilled.
I bet your stomach was just like actually like trying to fucking crunch down on your abs, and you're just so bloated
Yeah.
on eating.
Mate, if I went and had a cookie now, I'd be like, oh, I should have known. But at the same time, you know, I was relying on my coach to kind of give me that.
on show day as well. I mean, you hear about people. I think it was like Lewis Breed as well. I think he needed like 2,000 grams of carbs, and like he had five guys burgers on top of it just to like fill up the days before. Yeah, it's insane. Someone told me about it. I was like, really? Did he do that? I looked into it. He actually fucking did. And I'm like, that is fucking insane.
Just because he was like, he's so muscular. He's just like thick. But that's an insane amount of food.
You're getting five guys burgers down here in one go. Fuck me.
How can you handle that amount of food? I'd be sick for sure.
The weirdest thing is I've seen people drinking like cans of Monster backstage before they go on stage, and like, how the fuck does that not just bloat your stomach out?
That happened at Manchester. I saw some guy. He was drinking a Rain energy drink before getting on stage. It was that foreign guy in our class. Wasn't the guy who like passed out nearly, but it was his mate. With his neck in a Rain energy drink. I thought, wow, you're going to be bloated. I think he finished right at the end.
Why would you? For what reason?
I have no idea. They do some crazy shit, but that guy nearly passed out. I think he was on diuretics because he literally fainted nearly on stage. He had to get carried off.
Yeah. I said to Emma after the show, I was like, "Did you see that?" She was like, "No." I was like, "What were you watching?" There's a guy that came up to the bit wobbly. He was doing his eye walk, wasn't he? And I think his friend or family member come to the front of the stage and like slam this like water bottle down. Matey boy's knocked. Oh, there's water all over the stage. He's nearly falling over. Like an absolute shit show. But to be fair, like, hats off to like the guy on stage. He handled that really well. He was able to just sort of carry on. So I thought at that point we might have to stop. And then obviously you have to get off the stage, and then your pump's gone and you're able to get it back. Like, but yeah, the credit to him for being able to sort of carry that on and manage that well.
Yeah, it was fucking crazy that though, wasn't it? It's dangerous shit. It's got to be diuretics if you're like fainting and nearly passing out to like that degree.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like with Josh, like he's never even mentioned anything like that. Like
Yeah,
in
no,
regards to heads and stuff, he's just very minimal, keeps it simple and bit of support. What's their peak max, isn't it?
yeah, Pete Max. Yeah, that's what I used. It's the best thing, isn't it, out there? That's all an actual diuretic. It's not going to cause any issues or anything like that. But yeah, that's it really.
What is the first thing you had when you got off stage then, Lee, when you like after your show? What food wise?
This was a little bit annoying actually because off the back of Manchester, that was my competition season done. I'd always planned for that to be my last show. And I booked this place in Birmingham because we was travelling from Manchester through Birmingham back down to Milton Keynes. And one of Josh's ex-clients, actually, I spoke to about this place. She posted all this food on it, and I was like, where is that? I need to go. And it's called like Ham Bow or something like that in Birmingham. It's like a burger place.
Nice.
Because I got into the overall, by the time that was finished and done, it was just too late to get down there. So I was driving home, I was like, me and Emma, bless her, she had done a shoot a couple of months ago, and she was like, I'm waiting until you finish to eat. So she hadn't eaten for fuck knows how long. So we driving home, he was like, oh, maybe you could find a Five Guys. I was on my phone, like Five Guys near me. And I didn't really know, but it was still looking for like Five Guys in Manchester. For some reason, my phone had. And we was passing Derby, and I was like, surely there's one in Derby. And I was like, Five Guys near me. It was giving me Manchester still. I was like, I don't know how there's not anything around here. I was like, Emma, get on your phone, past the Derby turn. And she was like, yeah, there's one in Derby. I was like, oh, fuck's sake. So, long story short, we ended up just stopping at services and just slamming down loads of McDonald's. So,
yeah.
not ideal, but yeah, not ideal. But there was like service, so there's like little shops there. So I went to Costa and got some carrot cake and then a couple of chocolate bars for the road home. And then got back to Milton Keynes. When I got a tub of Ben and Jerry's from the service station, £7.10. You know? And then Tim Hortons for an apple and it's like apple cinnamon donut thing. So I went to bed pretty full that night. But yeah,
Nice. They had like those donut things, didn't it? Was it? Well, I can't remember what like donut company it was. Like at the show where you literally come out the door and there's fucking shitloads of donuts. They had the same at Birmingham, and my girlfriend she fucking bought a couple. And was like, "Oh, do you want one?" I was like, "No, I can't yet. I'm done yet."
it's a nightmare, isn't it? And I think that's kind of like the discussions I had with Josh that I never thought about doing the finals because for me it was about seeing where I could take my physique this year because it'd been a couple of years since I competed and I just wanted to see whether I still had it, see whether I could make improvements, see what I could bring to the stage really. So it was always that. And then I'd had that food, had a bit of a reset and spoke to Josh the next day and I was really adamant that I was going to do finals because everyone was like, you've got to do finals, got to do finals, got to do finals. And yeah, I think just putting the foot out the door a little bit and just having a little bit of freedom and then trying to like step back into that I just wasn't quite 100% all in.
It's hard work when you stop and start again and things like
Yeah.
that. You keep going, don't you? But you're going to save a lot of money not doing the Two Bros finals because that cost me a fucking arm and a leg today signing up to. So I've done
more than just.
Yeah, I've done 2 classes as well that I've signed up for. Stupid me, but I just thought I'd fucking do it because I've done like the novice men's physique and the open men's physique, and it's cost me £375.
Mate, I was going to say, probably bankrupt you, Jesus.
No, so and then the 14th and the 15th. So I've got 14th Two Bros in Manchester. I thought I've got to do it just because it's Manchester.
Yeah, Manchester's not bad.
Yeah, and then I'm doing the PCA's cheap. It was only 60 quid for the finals, which the fucking mint fed. The PCA are the best federation out there. The fucking quality.
And the expo they put on is pretty good. I was there with Effective last year, and I'll come again. I'll be at the finals just helping out Effective because it's just a cool little like they've got all the supplement companies. And they've got like Monster Factory, a couple of clothing companies and things like that. So it's just really cool. And they put on like a really cool. They do like the pump up gym, don't they? Side of the stage and.
Yeah.
But you're not there just with a band. You've actually got some machines, and yeah, it's really cool. Stage is cool. Like PCA, I think for the stage. I mean, for the money you pay, it's quite cheap in regard to like if you're comparing it to Two Bros. The stage always looks so mint and the lighting's so good. So yeah, the expo, it's really good place.
Imagine you had to get hotels and that as well, though, James. Like by the time you paid that for your entries, and you had to get hotels and that, there's £1,000 to compete easily.
I'm not getting a hotel because I'm just going to go down there.
Yeah, I know. But if it wasn't in Manchester, like imagine it was like Birmingham, London, or something. Like it'd be a costly trip.
Yeah, too, bro. You've got to check in the day before, so you've got to go on the Friday, check in, register, and then go back the next day, which is like the only federation that really do that. We're competing with anyway. I'm not sure they do it in like natural federations, but for you,
anyway.
That's it. So, Lee, you had to come up from Milton Keynes, didn't you, to like register on the Friday and then stay over?
And that was like there was a car accident. It took me about 5.5 hours to get up as well.
Yeah.
It's a costly sport, really, at the end of the day. By the time you count the food, by the time you count the supplements, by the time you count gym memberships, I suppose, as well, like there's a lot of cost to it. Like it's not for everyone. Put it that way.
The tan as well. So the tan, that costs fucking money as well. It's all adds up.
Yeah, and then like you can buy and I've done for my shows. I'm just waiting for all three I did actually, because obviously the placements that I did get, but you order photo packages as well.
Yeah.
And PCA are right. I think they're like, was it 45 maybe?
Yeah, it's like 45 quid isn't bad, is
it? Two Bros was like, I think it's like 75 quid.
So for Two Bros, if you want their feedback, so PCA, they literally emailed me feedback within like 2 hours of getting off. Like, the fuck, rapid. For Two Bros, you have to buy the pictures from Two Bros and send them to them. You can't get it off your phone or anything like that. It's got to be a stage bought picture, and then you send them the picture, and then they give you feedback, which is really shit, apparently.
What?
Yeah, that's a money making. They're just a money making federation, aren't they? To say that, I'm fucking competing with them out again. So
yeah.
Say, don't clip me up.
I won't clip it up, James. Don't worry. But they that you're right. A lot of them are just money making federations. Like I don't know how it works for you guys, but I know there are some natty federations where if you become a pro, you've got to pay every year to sustain your pro card, even if you're not competing. So like the more pros they get, the more money in the bank, obviously. So they hand out a shit ton of pro cards.
Okay.
See, to me that's stupid. You win a pro card, you've got a pro card for life. I feel.
Yeah,
you should. Or maybe like a longer, like maybe in 5 years' time, it might be that you'd have to renew something, but not on like an annual basis. That's ridiculous.
Every fucking year, yeah. Just don't renew, don't pay. You're not a pro anymore. Might as well just make it a subscription. You subscribe and you're a pro.
Yeah, you know, I think if you're an IFBB pro, you've got to compete every 2 years to keep your pro card. I think that's the thing.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think you've got to literally compete every like 24 months to like retain your pro card. That's why like all the pro bodybuilders compete so much and they don't have massive long off seasons. But I think there's like exemptions. So if you're injured or anything like that, they'll do an exemption for you. But if not, you've got to
take an injury and that, so you don't have to fucking compete.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake. I was the same as you though, Lee, in a sense. Like it was something you said earlier about like, you know, when you've been on it for so long and then you do come off it. Like, and I only came off it for like 2 days, but I found it really fucking hard. Like I'd done a show and then I did intend to do the finals, and then I had a pizza that night and I ate out the next day. But see, the fucking week after that, like my hunger was through the fucking roof. I did hold on for like 2 weeks of decent dieting, but like it was just so fucking tough. And like yourself, my head wasn't in it, and it's like, what's the point in doing it if you're not gonna give 100%? What's the point in doing it?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? Physically, honestly, I felt absolutely fine. There's no questions that I could have done it, but. You know, I spoke to Josh and he said, you know, he really wanted me to do it, as did I. But he said, if your foot's not all the way, if you just half in, half out, then it's probably not a good idea to do it, because it might be that you slip up or it's kind of half-assed, you're not in it. And then you're not going to bring about the best look, which is what you realistically want for finals, isn't it? So, it was the right call to make.
The stage isn't going anywhere. That's the thing. It's always next year. It's always the year after. Unless you're a WNBF pro and you need to pay every year to compete.
The reason like why I'm like competing still and going like further is there's still more. I've still got more to do with my physique. There's still more improvements, still more like conditions to bring. So that's why I keep digging. Like every week it's getting better. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to keep this going and just see what I can achieve and just hopefully bring a totally fucking different look to from the first shows to the last shows. But it's happening anyway. So, and Josh is happy how it's going. I've dropped a shitload of body fat and weight already since like competing for the first time this year. So hopefully progress like that. And it does get a bit much, especially like for your family and friends around you and like your work. I think we were saying this, Leo, with messages, weren't we, where you're going into work and you're just like, fucking hell, your head's not in it, you can't think straight. And it's like you've got a physically demanding like job as well, aren't you, being a physio? So you're very hands-on with shit. So it gets difficult.
I didn't realise you're a physio, Lee.
Well, I'm not. I did. Well, I potentially in the future, but I do some. I've got my own room actually sitting in it now, so I do sports massage therapy privately, and I work for the NHS doing community rehab.
All right, cool. That's that opens up a whole other topic of conversation.
Yeah, leave that for another
day. Keep it strictly bodybuilding today, but that's cool. But you'll be like the guy who can't get a sports massage himself.
To be honest, that's one thing that I did as well. I gave my time this year to make sure I got sports massage like every other week, because previously I didn't. And obviously being one myself, like I know all the benefits that it has, so made sure I religiously got that sorted. But myself trying to massage people deeper in prep, I started, laying off a little bit and giving myself some time, because it is physically quite demanding, especially when you got the big boys coming in. So
and mentally too, because you'll have to chat all the way through it as well. Not all the way through it, but you know what I mean? It is chatting to people, it is conversating with people, and that's what I found tough, like just trying to hold on to a normal conversation.
Even like you got to be standing up for like an hour to an hour and a half. You're on your feet and sometimes you just and sometimes you just want to sit down. So it's like, I started to back off and just do a few sessions. But I had four back-to-backs Saturday morning, and food's in me, and it was like, oh, this is so easy. I don't know what I was moaning about. Like just a little bit of food, and back to normal.
That's what it's like with PT. It's like the concentration, because I don't want to like fuck the sessions up and like give them the shitty service. So I've really started like scaling back on those, and the evenings kill me off. In the mornings, I wake up fresh, it's all good, and then but when it gets to those last sessions at like 7-8 o'clock at night, I was like, fucking hell, I can't fucking be here. So I pulled it back. I'm only doing 2 evenings a week, which is like 1 half day as well, and then one sort of full day on the Thursday PT. But it's going to stay like that now as well, with the online shit picking up. So I think that's another reason why I'm continuing this prep. Like the online fucking stuff is just going through the fucking roof at the moment with inquiries. So
I think if you were just fully online, prep would be a fucking breeze, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
but
definitely.
You're right though, like what you're saying. I feel like especially a lot of the stuff that we study, like the biomechanics stuff, like I think my head's only just getting back into thinking that way and actually working properly that way. Because like I especially like again the last 3-4 weeks, it's like I don't think it was working right. Like I couldn't think the same way. Like I just didn't have the same brain power. And it's like this week in particular, I'm like everything's clicking again. I feel like myself again finally. But
with Integra as well, that started again, and fucking first thing RTS biomechanics of the foot, and I'm like, fucking hell, I can't do this.
Yeah, I just feel like when you're in prep, I think like when I'm working, I'm literally just doing the bare minimum to get by. I'm just ticking the boxes and just making sure I'm getting the work done. But my productivity at work is pretty low, because it's almost like your brain doesn't want to work. Your brain power's just down. So it's just like running at this kind of baseline just to make sure you get by, and then it's storing all this energy for like, so I've got to do fasting cardio, and I need to do my steps, and I need to train, so I can't work too hard at work because I've got to go do this after.
Your brain needs carbs, doesn't it? It fucking needs carbs to run. But going back to the sports massage stuff and that, right? I've had quite a few sports massages in my days, but like, what are the actual benefits of it? I usually just go and I'm like, this feels great. So it's like, what are the actual benefits of it?
Well, I typically, when I go in, like, especially through like cardio, when your legs are quite heavy and calves are quite heavy, I'd get my sports massage therapist to not go too heavy, because I know they'd be really sore for legs, and I don't want them to be really sore when I'm doing cardio. So that'd be like a light flush through. But I feel like the heat and the oxygenated blood, that blood flow to the area helps it recover quicker. So from like a recovery standpoint, that's really good. As well, you might have like tight muscles which are like restricted. So a lot of people might be thinking they've got like a full range of movement, for example, through, let's just say we're doing like a single arm pull down. And they think that's their fully lengthened range, but actually we're really restricted here. So you're not getting all the benefits of that full stretch. Because the eccentric phase is where we're growing when we, as you know, when we're controlling that movement there. But sometimes when we're really restricted, we can't get that fullest range. So when I talk to people about that, I think they're the two sort of main benefits I'd always focus on. And so when you free up restrictions, it might be that you might look imbalanced, and so many people are imbalanced. Like if you look in the mirror, you'll probably have like one shoulder's elevated in comparison to the other, and that might be because you've got a tight lat or a shortened trap or your pecs shortened, because we all sit like this and we all run. We're always on our phones and we drive. And we're all like this. So just to get little manipulations done on like pecs is just a massive thing. Traps are a big one as well on laps. So, and when we're looking at like posing, because I had calcific tendonitis earlier, or well, late on last year. So I couldn't train for about 3 months, and I was restricted to sort of just this for about 6 weeks. So I couldn't train at all. So I was just like this. And because of that, I was doing this, and my trap was shortening. Didn't really know about it. So when I started posing for Josh, I'd be opening up and doing this. And this would be like that. And I'd be like, fucking hell. And it really pissed me off, because every time I checked in, I'd be like, so yeah, just going to get a sports massage just because I could see it myself, and just said, can you just work on my trap? I'm going to come and see you, just bury my trap, just lengthen it. So, and that sorted that out. So my posing was okay, my shoulders were level. So
yeah, I'm a big fan of it, sports massage, because it's helped a lot, and I can see like the benefits in it. But then you look at things like, oh, you should foam roll and stuff. Yeah, I think that's a fucking waste of time, as well as doing like stretching bullshit. Well, there's a time and a place for it, but sports massage, like for like the lymphatic drainage and the recovery and all that sort of stuff, I've seen like a lot of like benefits in myself. So I am a big fan like a sports massage, because you can't get stuck into yourself like you would do someone else would do like to you, in terms of like rolling a fucking piece of fucking foam.
Yeah, I mean, I always say to people, if it wasn't in like a prep scenario, maybe someone comes to see you every 4 or 6 weeks, just maybe foam rolling, a few times a week, or massage gun stretching might help you within the process. Prolong that process a little bit to try and stretch the session out. But yeah, in a prep scenario, I just feel like if people aren't having massage, they're leaving a stone unturned there, I think.
I use one of those wee spiky balls. It can be quite good for actually pinpointing places a bit better. But when I've been going, I haven't been for a while, and I really fucking should. But like I get a lot of like tension in my upper back again, like you say, it's the way you're sitting. It's looking at your phone, it's driving, it's all that shit. But like one part of like it's like my mid to kind of lower trap, it seems to like get almost hard. It almost gets pretty hard. And then when the sports massage lady like obviously like goes over it and does some work, then it gets a little bit softer again. And it's weird. It's like tension just builds up there. And every so often I just go and get it released. And that seems to keep it in place really.
Yeah, it's a lot through the heat. The trick is when you use like foam rollers and balls, guns, things, you don't get the heat into the muscle, which is what a sports massage therapist would do. Those sort of large petricide like strokes and manipulations will get the heat in the muscle, so the muscle become like then pliable, so you can work into it like Play-Doh and it will loosen it off. But yeah, definitely if you're having like issues, maybe upper, I'll definitely say I think everyone should be getting their pecs worked on every session, whoever it is, because
that into a rotation when that tight and you're like coming over like that into that position. Yeah, 100%.
I can imagine like 99.9% of people's pecs are shortened because of the modern world we live in and what we do from day to day. Like,
yeah,
I want to sit like this now. I'm talking about it.
Again, that's why I bought this chair though. Like I'm keeping my head back now rather than like actually like leaning forward like this, because the last chair was like sitting at like the bit where my back almost like pivots, and then I'm hunching forward like this. So nowadays I've got this, and well, just today, and then like I feel this thing behind me, so like I know I'm keeping my head back, so then I suppose that's reducing the load on those vertebrae because we've not got this head that's sitting away fucking forward here. And when I'm driving as well, I'm so conscious of like I actually put my hands further down the wheel so I can externally rotate a little bit. My head's back, and like even the last time I came down to see you, James, like I reclined my seat back, and I was like, because my hips were getting tight, I was like lying almost down when I was driving. It wasn't very safe. Don't recommend it, but like made my hips feel better.
I do that as driving now. I literally put my hands on the steering wheel, and I even slightly push myself so I know I'm here. Because if I don't do that, what I'll do is I'll do this.
Yeah.
What that's doing is saying, hello, rotator cuff, can you stretch, please? And one day it's just going to snap. So
I think the thing is like habits become structure, don't they? When you do something for so long over time, your structure's just going to like morph into that position, and that's going to become your norm. So if you constantly in a certain position, then you're going to end up in that position for a long time.
that's why I say to people when they come in, I say, I bet there's if you've got a corner sofa or whatever sofa it is, I say, I bet you have your own seat and you sit on one side of the sofa all the time. So I say, you're probably doing this with your arm on the sofa, aren't you? And they're like, yeah, I do that every day. And I was like, do you sit with your like feet under? And they're like, yeah, I do that. And I was like, that's probably why you're having this pain here and this pain here. What you're doing here is you're stretching your QL here and you're shortening it here. So you're having your lower back issues there. And it's just,
I think to come back to you in the book, we'd done that thing in the gym the other day, and now I've got a sore shoulder. And it's like, well, it's probably not that 1 hour you spent in the gym. It's probably what you're doing the rest of the day that's more like it. Like you drive everywhere all day, every day. So it might be a little bit something to do with that, why your upper back sore. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of mums with children that'll just carry, they'll be picking them up for, and obviously that's for years and years and years and years, and over time, just creating those bad postural habits.
It's like when people say, "Oh, all I did was like turn around in the car to grab something, and my back's gone." It wouldn't be specifically that they've done, but that I mean that's just like snapped. So it's something they've been doing over time, like repetitively, and then it's just like popped.
Do you train a lot of people into like spinal extension, James? Like all your like normal clients?
Oh yeah, spinal extension, spinal flexion to get the spine moving. Only like if it depends on the person, doesn't it? If they can tolerate that position and that motion and what load we're putting through it. So it's totally dependent. But what the spine should move, you shouldn't fucking hold the spine still. If not, then it's a fucking signable joint. If it's not moving, then it's just gonna like fuck up.
Yeah, that if you're not going into spinal extension, if you're sitting hunched all the time, eventually the cartilage between the facet joints are it's gonna wear away, because if you don't use it, you lose it, like you're saying. But not enough people spend time in spinal extension or a retracted shoulder position. So like most clients, 9 out of 10 clients, I'll put something in there, get them in that sort of position, and get them spend some time there, get them used to getting into that position, let them know how to get into that position as well. So that's where the model of the spine comes in very handy as well, just to say, look, this is spinal extension. You're spending all your time here. Let's try and spend a little bit of time here. Try and externally rotate, the positions people don't get into in everyday life.
No, do you know what's funny when people say, "Oh, like you're hunched over like that, you need to train your rear delts the week." I was like, "All right, so can you like pull yourself into that position and hold it?" I was like, "All right, sweet, then you can do it." Then that's just like saying, like, if you do so many lateral raises, then you're gonna be walking around like that all day. That is literally the same fucking thing. So.
And anyway, if it was your rear delt, like it would pull you into some sort of, I mean, it would be extension, I suppose, but some sort of like horizontal abduction sort of thing as well.
Not even with the scapula, is it? It's just the humerus.
Yeah. Crazy. It'd more be like, I suppose, like rhomboids, kind of mid trap sort of thing. And again, like those spinal extensors. Was I breaking up
That's
there?
it. So a little bit. Anyway, that's the biomechanics shit talked about. So it was that went off on a fucking tangent. Back to bodybuilding.
Well, we had a bit of a conversation, didn't we, about backstage? There's a couple of things from me on this one. One's like quite a personal topic, but we'll leave that for now. But I flap so much backstage because I'm like, well, Josh said I've got to have my salt and my pump formula and my 50 grams of sweets 20 minutes before I pump up. But I'm trying to time this pump up, and then I'm like looking through the door to see when the judges are sitting down and my head's in. I'm flapping around saying to James, like, when do I pump up? When do we pump up? Like, you never really get, and I'm not blaming any federations, but you never really get a time that you're going to be on stage, and there might be like, yeah, it's going to be about 30 minutes. 10 minutes later, they're like, come on, let's get pumped up. And I'm like, I haven't even had my pump up formula. I'm like, oh, and it's just fucking, like a baby backstage. I'm awful. Just flapping around.
It is so stressful though. But I was watching something on YouTube the other day, even with the pros, they don't even know that they've got the same thing, like the same problem. So I think it's just like that with every bodybuilding show. It depends how it's running, doesn't it? How many people are in the class and how fucking, I don't know, how long they're on stage for and all that sort of thing. So it's just one of those things where it's just best not to stress and do the best you can do. But this weekend, it was totally fucking different for me. I was rushed in there on stage. So I thought, oh, I'm going to be on stage at 1. Everyone was saying, yeah, 1 o'clock. I was on at fucking 12 and I was like, shit. So as soon as I got into like backstage area, everyone was like chilling, lying down. A minute later, there was like, oh yeah, class of physique short. I was like, fucking hell, we're going up there. So went up there and then went into the pump up area and thought, when am I going to be on stage? I went, oh, the bodybuilding's at the moment, you're up next. I was like, fucking hell, I need to have my fucking pre-stage stuff. And then I was rushing around, all that sort of shit, flapping. Luckily, it took about like 25 minutes, so it worked out quite well. I was having to message my girlfriend and Nick, who was with us, say, right, you need to come back because they went to get some food somewhere. I was like, I'm going to be on stage in like 10 minutes. You need to get in the crowd. So it's that fucking rushed around, but you just never know, do you, how bodybuilding shows are going to run.
Saying that for PCA Manchester, actually, I think timing wise, that was the best one that I've done out of the 3 this year, and it's the worst pump I got.
Oh, really?
But I think that's because of how Josh had to run things in, because obviously peaking for Saturday and then trying to hold condition, and more quite low, isn't it? Obviously, carb quite low, so obviously trying to then get a pump was. But I think it because the double doors were open. It was a hot day, but there was a bit of a breeze as well, and I was like, as soon as that breeze comes on the skin, you see sort of veins like fading away. But I feel like I was just like furiously like fucking like back like just before we were about to go on, like I'm up next and I'm just like fucking up pumping the shit out of it. I'm like, yeah, they're fucking coming. Keep going, keep going. So yeah, I did manage it at quite a good pump in the end, but I think it was the worst one out of the 3. But that was just like furiously, just like really working it. It's like fucking sweating as well.
Oh, it's so fucking warm, weren't it? I mean, the last like couple of weeks, fucking hell, and then the tan was like dripping off, and especially fucking the last weekend, everyone's tan was dripping off on the stage. They had to come on with towels and pat everyone. Literally, everyone on the stage was getting patted off. It was that bad.
And like 30 degrees or something.
Yeah, it was so bad. Like there's people backstage where like half the tan was gone. I was like, fucking hell. I was like, luckily I wasn't that bad, but it was so fucking like bad.
I did think about that, and I was like, imagine all the boys with their tans like trying to sleep tonight, how hot it was. Because I know from like the week prior, the Wigan actually, I was so fucking hot. And I was like, I got up and the fucking tan was everywhere. I was like, Jesus, but like 30-degree heat at night, like.
Yeah, it weren't nice. I woke up the next morning and I did some work on my laptop, and then I looked down. So this was on the morning of the show, and I looked down. It was like bubbles of sweat, but like brown sweat, from the base tan. And I thought, fucking hell, I need to sort this out before I actually like go. So I had to sort that out, then put the top coat on, and then put another top coat on when I got there because I did my own tan again just because I couldn't get to Birmingham for like fucking 6:30, 7 in the morning to the fucking top coat with them. And yeah, that was I think the tan was the most stressful thing for me this year.
It's messy as fuck, isn't it? And like if you're staying in a hotel room and that as well, like I took like bed sheets and everything with me to sleep in so that I wasn't getting theirs messy. But then like you touch the wall and you're like shit. And then like I lay in the carpet and that, and like I got the fucking all over the carpet and that as well. But luckily I never got any fines through the door.
Our toilet's fucked. It's literally brown.
My toilet seat's the same.
You put toilet roll on the seat before you sat down.
It's literally fucked. It's stained. So I got some bleach on it the first time. It removed a bit of it, but then obviously fucking competing again, it's done the same thing. So it's literally just like getting layered up with fucking fake tan on it. I'm like, fucking hell. Imagine if someone comes round or invites someone round and they go to use the toilet and just see that. I thought, what the fuck's been going on here?
Is that ever going to come off?
I have no idea. I've still got tan on me from the weekend as well because it's that base coat. It just fucking sticks to you.
That'll come off.
It will. I've got a photo shoot on Friday, so I need to like sort of really, really fucking exfoliate even more just to get it off. And sort it out.
Mate, I scrub with the what was it? Is it the Protan stuff? There's like a green. It comes in a green. I was using that, and I looked down. And I was just like, my chest was bleeding. I was like scrubbing so much.
Fucking hell!
I was like, yeah, mate, calm down. But it's like when you have the show, like it was like the week after, wasn't it? And it takes such a long time. You have to furiously scrub for like a week. Like I was like doing it like twice a day, and I'd even have to like get the gloves on, get the mitts on. Emma getting this really thick fucking brown thing that felt like just ripping my skin off.
If you didn't have like a partner to help you out with, it'd be so much fucking hard work. How would you get you back?
Oh, it's like every night. Can you come and scrub my back? Can you moisturize as well, please? Like, fuck it.
There's a solution to be had there, James. You need to come up with a product for single bodybuilders.
Yeah, going to like Dragon's Den.
Yeah, make money off that though, wouldn't
you? That's why people do the tan, I suppose, like do the tanning companies and that and tan people up for money, isn't it?
Make a shitload of money. Like Beck, she's a professional tanner as well, so she used to do that at like salons. So she was doing my base coat and everything like that. But that top coat, it's so hard to get right. You know how dark you want to be, how many layers you put on. It's like when we did Two Bros, Josh was like, "Oh, go darker, go darker." And every time I put another layer on, it was getting a bit more patchy and patchy because I was sweating it off. And it was like, I don't know what to do here. You just need to like sort of have it right, the right amount of it, and how dark you want to go. So it's again, it was just the most stressful thing for me the tan this year so far, anyway.
Makes such a difference on stage, though. I never really knew until I saw the pictures back from, I think it was Wales. And looking back at the professional pictures that I got, we all looked really pretty shit. It almost looked like it was like mud with some like glitter in almost. It was really odd. Obviously, like, I'll send some to you, but yeah, it's really bad. It's just far too dark.
Speaking about like tans, have you seen Dream Tan?
Yeah.
It's just like cement. It's fucking crazy how dark it is. I mean, like people with tattoos, they use it. They've got to use it, haven't they, to like cover the tattoos, especially if they're covered like section. But that stuff gets everywhere. I think there's a lot of federations that banned it because of how fucking messy it is and how it just ruins everything.
I'll tell you what, like I'll get bronze who work at Two Bros. That tan, that was a nice tan. That was like seeing the pictures back from that. It's almost like nearly golden. It was like a really really nice color. And when you compare, yeah, it's like really like dark because the lady that tanned me, I spoke to her after the overall. And she was like, "You were like the palest person that came in," and she was like, "And then you are like literally the darkest person now." And I'm like, "What does that say? Is it that because I'm pale, they're like putting extra on?" I don't know, but yeah, not a big fan of the PCA tan, to be honest.
How much was the get bronze tan? Because I might book in with them for the finals.
Because you've already paid for, I think it's the entry fee. It's only like a small edition. It's like maybe like 30 to 50. I think the finals, Daddy Long Legs, I missed it. I think it might be a little bit more from the finals.
Yeah, so probably. Yeah, there's always a reason why. There's like, oh, it's the finals. Let's charge double. That done with the entry fee.
Yeah, I was actually quite surprised. Like it was cheaper than PCA. I think PCA is about 70, wasn't it? It was only
Yeah, I only paid for the base coat at PCA and I missed it. I missed the fucking thing. So they didn't give me, so I paid the day before because my time didn't go the best on the Saturday and they didn't give me a time. So I thought, oh, check-in is like, it was like 11 o'clock or something, wasn't it? So I thought, oh, get there at 9:30. Got there at 9:30. All the girls were queuing up. It was like, oh, you've got to wait now until all the girls. And I thought, fucking hell, I'm going to get on stage with or whatnot. So I was like really stressing out. I had to wait like 2 hours to fucking get stand up. And luckily we just made it. Well, about half an hour to go.
Yeah, I remember that actually. I remember you saying that's not a good place to be. I'd have been really, really watery for just stressing out.
Yeah, literally, fucking stress was through the roof, and I thought, what am I gonna do? So Beck ran to a car, got in it, travelled back up to fucking Whitworth. It was like 35-40 minutes away to get the actual tan that I had at home and bring it back down again. By the time she got back, I got tanned. So she was fuming, absolutely fuming with that.
I don't think I've ever heard them complain at anyone being too dark on stage before, though, have they? Like, it's always like, if anything, it's like you're too light. Like, I've definitely been marked down for that before and told, like because the BNBF do like a kind of prejudging then evening show, and I've been told in between like go put another layer of tan on. I'm like, oh shit, like it must be too light.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, I've never heard anyone say that it looks bad or it is bad. And typically, people always want a darker tan, don't they?
Yeah.
Looking back on things, I always feel like I don't know if it's my skin or I try and put a lot of glaze on me because I feel like when I glaze and I get on stage with this like dark tan, it just looks really matte. It doesn't really glaze very well.
Yeah.
So like I think it was Wales. I looked really really matte on my abs, which is quite annoying because it can potentially give you a little bit of a placing. Like that's
Yeah.
how it seems silly, doesn't it?
So I use that hot stuff. So it's the glaze, but it's got like the hot stuff in it. I don't know if you saw like Nick slapping it. Yeah,
Yeah.
backstage. It literally slapping it on you. So it fucking it brings out all the veins and everything. So I've never used it before. It's like deep, literally the glaze, but it's got deep heat in it, and literally the veins fucking pop out. It makes you look like vascular. It's pretty cool. I've never used it before, but I bought shitloads of it since.
Oh, clearly worked. Clearly did the job.
Yeah, it does. It just makes you really pumped out. I was like, fucking hell, it does work.
How do
Just
you? How do
so
you? That's my 10%. How do you feel backstage when you're backstage and you see other competitors? Because I think you could probably tell from me what I feel like. And did you compare yourself to others, or are you focused?
on the weekend gone, because it was the first time doing classic, there was like 8 guys in my class, and I was looking around and there was all fucking pretty stacked. I was like, fuck. I was like, I think I'm like a bit out of my fucking like zone here. I was like, these guys are stacked. One of them was fucking absolutely shredded to the fucking bone. I was like, fucking hell. I was like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do here. And I didn't really like expect much, but so I was happy with like placing. But I did like compare myself to a bit, because that I think when we was backstage, I wasn't comparing myself. I just thought enjoy it. Like you was there, we could have a chat, laugh. It was more relaxing it when you know someone backstage. But because I was on my own backstage, I was just looking around like pumping up the band, thinking, "Fucking hell, he's massive." So yeah,
When I was like pumping up at the BNBF, like it was like quite a small pump up area, and it was just our class that was in there. So it was like it was almost impossible to not look at it. It's this room that's full of mirrors, and it's everyone that's in your class. So you're like, of course you're fucking like looking over. But I seen that Chris Palin backstage. I don't know if you guys know of him, and he was like, he's just next level lean. Like I've never seen anyone
glutes were
so
fucking shredded, weren't they?
yeah, I've never seen anyone so lean in my life. And I was like, well, there's at least second place. But like, yeah, it was great something to see, really, just like, especially as he started pumping up, as he started doing some like bicep curls or lateral raises, looking at the fucking lines popping through. It was like, yeah, I was almost just admiring it. I was like, fucking hell. Like, yeah, I'm not that lean.
Do you know what's sorry, let you go for it.
No, I was just going to say because I think I'm quite open and honest about how I feel about competing and being backstage and comparing myself to others. I don't really believe in myself that much. I'm not an overly confident person, so when I'm backstage, I'm always like comparing myself to others. I remember actually in Two Bros, I went backstage and I was so convinced that I was beaten. I was messaging Emma like, oh, "Fuck this, can't be asked. This is bullshit."
You said to
And then
me,
and then I went back. God,
you said that to me. There was that guy, the foreign guy, pumping up. Like, fucking hell, he's
yeah.
unreal. That he's in my class, and I was like, I think you got to smoke him. So you did, but it's just that I don't know. It's the confidence in yourself, is it? You just never know, do you, when you get on stage? And you look totally different when you're next to someone, but when you get on stage, your lights are like beaming down on you, and you're posing. It's just a completely different story.
But I just thought, what? I thought this guy's fucking massive. Like he's going to smoke me. And we said to Dean, who helps backstage at Two Bros, I was like, when you've been fucking smoked just before we was going up to get our awards. And they called him for second. I was like, what? And I got called for first. And I was like, but then I look back on pictures, like Emma taking pictures and stuff, and I'm like, I'm just as big as this guy, or my top line's bigger. I just don't get it myself until I look back on pictures and videos. That's the justification. That's like, oh fuck, actually, that is me. I look like that.
It was very close between you and the other guy in that overall. Fucking hell, I literally couldn't separate you. I was like, fucking hell, you was bigger than him, but I think it's just the shape that had in his waist and the shape that he was. He was just fucking. What's that?
The Two Bros one.
Yeah, 2 rows. Yeah.
I put up some comparisons actually from that, and I was looking at him and I was like, oh, like I definitely beat him from the back, and then from the front, I think it's very comparable, and obviously they preferred him from the front, but I feel like if you were to say, I think it was quite night and day from the back, and I think from the front it was comparable. So I think like, how do you make that call for?
Yeah, it was a tough one. He had a good shape, didn't he? He had a good shape and he had big arms and delts, but so did you as well. So it's they kept switching around in the centre, and it was like, who's gonna fucking take that?
Yeah.
Judging must be pretty fucking hard sometimes. Eh? That must be a long day.
Yeah, I think PCA is always a very long day, isn't it? Because you have to get up really early. Whereas like Two Bros is kind of, I think you get tanned at like 12, don't you? And then the show sort of 2:30.
I think that the best thing, like we was slagging it up before about checking the day before, but that's why it runs so smoothly, where you just literally show up and get on stage.
But I think that the MK Classic that we went to, they were very. It was almost like it was run too well, because there was like, you're on, you're on, you're on, you're on, you're on. You're like, fuck, I need to pump up. Like, calm down.
There was on it, weren't they? Like shouting your number and your names and making sure you was in the line, and if no one weren't in the line and say, "Oh, you're missing someone." It was literally running around the venue trying to find the guy, and yeah, there was on it, weren't there?
I think they probably thought it was potentially going to be a busier show than what it was, because last year I heard that last year it was a very busy show, and I don't think it was overly busy this year. So it might have been why they were just like, oh, we can just get it moving, maybe.
Yeah, it was a good show though, weren't it? It was run well, and then the venue was nice, really nice.
You try to call it back now, James, after insulting them earlier.
Well, there's pros and cons in there to everything, but you got to give them a shout out to where it was, because they've got the leisure centre down fucking south where half the shows are, which is absolutely abysmal. But when you compare this, it's their best venue. That Wigan one.
I think there's nothing worse than when you see like, especially like you see like Olympia caliber guys competing on stages, and it's in like a fucking event room in a fucking hotel, and then the background of the stage is all like fire and pictures and shit like that, and it's like that looks so fucking terrible, and the lighting's terrible too, and it's like these are some of the best guys in the world, and you can't even get a stage set up right. Like, imagine fucking prepping yourself for 20 weeks or whatever to get on stage, and someone's fucked up the lighting and you look like shit because of it.
That was that GPO show, the first one I did this year. The only person who looked good was in the middle, because there was only one light beaming down, so you had to be in the middle to look good. Or when you did your eye walk, you had to like literally stand in that one fucking spot and do it, because if you moved off to the side, then the lighting just fucking went straight off you, and you just shadows everywhere. I was like, it was fucking shit. So hopefully I'm competing at the same venue in a week on Sunday. And it's a different federation, so hopefully they brought their own lights. I think they will do, because it's a bigger federation. So fingers crossed they've sorted that issue out. But it's at the hangar. It was an all right venue. It weren't too bad. It was massive, but it's just the lighting killed it.
Is that NFM?
Yeah. The effective.
Yes, yeah, that is actually, yeah. Typically, I've been to a few shows of theirs, and they run really well, and the stage is pretty good. They used to. I don't know if they're going to this year, but they have, which is really cool. They put the screens above you as well, so when you're like hitting a back double bicep, you're just like looking up, like, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It'd be good if they did that, because they did. I think they used to, the Athena Theatre they went to for a couple of years, and they put the screens up there. It was really cool.
I think they're doing it because I saw a video that they put on, and they had a big screen behind them there when they was trying out the venue. So I think they're doing something like that.
Mate, it's so fucking cool when you hit that shot and you're looking up. It's so hopefully.
I don't know how it's going to run, because I've never competed with them before, so I've got to do the amateur shows in the morning. Hopefully, get a pro card in. I'm doing 2 classes, so I'm doing men's physique and classic physique, and then hopefully get a pro card, and then probably do 2 classes in the afternoon, which is like the pro ones are classic and physique again. So I'm not sure how it's going to run. It's going to be a bit of a messy one, like in terms of time and shit.
The one thing I'll say with that is, because I've done that, I've gone into the amateur, got the pro card, pro status, and then competed. It is a very long day, and typically the pro shows would be like in the evening, so it's a long running. make sure you got. I'm sure Josh will let you know. But make sure you got all,
What
all the food, all the drink, whatever you need. 'Cause it is a long day.
what time's the morning show at?
I can't. Do you know what? I can't remember when mine was, but it was. I'm sure mine was around like lunchtime or maybe early afternoon. And I remember I wasn't. I don't think I was on stage until like 8, 9 p.m. or something like that. I don't know. It might be different. I don't know, depending on like class numbers, sizes, and how the shit. But it was a very long. I remember having the worst fucking headache because I was just such a long day. It was crazy.
Men's physique's always at the end, and classic physique is always at the beginning. So I'm going a bit fucked. So I've got to do fucking amateur fucking classic. Hours later, do fucking amateur physique. And then if I get a fucking pro card, I can. You just get a pro card. You can do both. It don't matter what you get a pro card in, is it? So,
yeah. But what you'll have to sign up as well. So once you get your pro show and like log in to do the pro show, and I think you have to pay that fee to get into the pro show as well.
Yeah, so got that in the email. But yeah, see how that
How
goes.
long will do that? Like 9 o'clock at night is fucking. That is a long show.
Mm-hmm.
Hungry by that fucking point.
Very.
I've got a FedEx in it.
My last show, I did it. So I was in the car and eventually got to go again.
The week later, Manchester FedEx, and then I was going to do PCA Central, but it's too much. That's literally the weekend before the finals, and it's only an hour away. And I thought, give Classic Physique a go again in PCA and try and fucking actually win something. I was like, should I do it? Should I not? So I don't know if it's too much, with it being a week before the finals.
Do you know what? For me, really it really stressed me out. Like we mentioned it earlier. It's about like those little things, like if I'm having to travel to stay places and packing all my clothes and packing all the food, make sure I've got that and going shopping and getting the tan off and going to get the tan and more, all those little bits within those weeks when you're competing week after week.
Like that's the most stressful bit, because I'm in the shower that evening, like trying to get it off. I'm like, I just want to go to bed. And the day before as well, where you're doing all the same shit, and I'm putting on the base coat. I'm just like, I am absolutely fucked. I just want to get in bed. I just can't be asked for shit. So I think that's a good place to wrap it up, because we've kept you long enough. It's been a fucking hour that we're in. But really appreciate you coming on. Hopefully got some good content out there with this.
It's been a pleasure, boys. Thanks for having me.